The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning. This is Dave Vick. Welcome to Vicktory Mondays on July July 8th. I just lost a month there somewhere, didn't I? So, well, I've got some crashes in the background there. I'm going to try and mute. I think I just did. There we go. And anyway, so yeah, Dave Vick here. Thanks for being with us on Vicktory Mondays. We do this every week at 11 a.m. to just help you out in the field and give you new marketing ideas and sales ideas. And today we have three top producers who are doing college workshops: Don Avgerinos, Gary Madeline, and Randy Taxon. And they do workshops, the college workshops. They're going to tell you all about them and as we get into it, and because they are the single most successful marketing program I've ever been a part of, and probably they've ever been a part of, and they'll tell you that. But really appreciate you being on with us. And my name's again Dave Vick. I'm president of Vick and Associates. I wrote the book Bat Sox Vegas and Conservative Investing. I'm now writing and just about done with 6 Pillars of Retirement Income, which is a new book on creating retirement income, and we'll have a new college course designed around it. The creator of the ABC planning process, the ABC financial ABCs of retirement planning, that is, and ABC snapshot software. And there's the new book, the new course, the 6 Pillars of Retirement Income, which is, man, I'm just excited about that book and workbook and just going through it, the topics, and just reinvigorated me as to what we really do as an advising culture and as advisors, and the responsibilities that we have. And it is really really exciting to go through that material and see where that leads us actually in the class. We're going to be having road shows for 3 hours, 9 to noon. No cost to you. Just want you to come in and see what we do, and we'll tell you all about the workshops, the software, the seminars, everything we do, the sales process for 3 hours. It's really 3 hours that, you know, really the guys that are listening on this call, the 3 that are on the call, came to one of these events, and it really has changed their direction of their practices. We'll be in Chicago July 16th, in Philadelphia, where with these 3, actually, if you're going to be in Philly, just come join us, because these 3 will be there. July 17th, Rockville in D.C. area, and Fairfax in D.C. area, and then up in Minneapolis the next week. And we're just, you know, every FMO has product, but very few have really proven marketing systems for top producers. In the ABC college workshops, we're going to go over those, the planning process, our new Maximizing Your Social Security one-night workshop where people pay $18 to come in and hear you teach and about Social Security, and then our acclaimed ABC Snapshot software, and so much more. The 24th up in Minneapolis is going to be from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. just prior to the Red Hawk University. So if you're going to Red Hawk University, or if you haven't even registered for Red Hawk University, you want to give us a call, and we want to get you to Red Hawk and get you up there, because it is simply the best securities training and marketing around. And they're having everybody in, you know, TD Ameritrade's coming in, the S&P 500's coming in. They're having all the big guns coming in for these 2 days. I'll be there and teaching about the ABCs also. But the day before, in the afternoon, fly in the morning and join us for 2 to 5 p.m. Then we'll have a big reception to follow and kick off the event right. Again, you know, give us the 3 hours, and we really think it's 3 hours that will change your career, and the direction of your career, as it has the 3 on the phone today. To register for our events, you can go to vickassociates.com, go to the upcoming events and training tab, and then scroll down to the road shows and the expos, and you can just click the button there and and register. And then we're having our sales and marketing expo experience, really, in Charlotte at the FIG headquarters there, August 14th to the 16th. So we will train and teach you everything that we do in those really 2.5 days. We'll come in and all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, half day on Friday, and have great times together at night. But I tell you what, it's information and training that's essential to moving your practice forward. And again, just go to vickassociates.com and register for that event, the upcoming events and training. And I want to, usually have people try to, let's talk before you come. We'll get you licensed and get you on board and contracted and everything else, and get you ready to go for that event. A little thought for the day: the measure of who we are is what we do with what we have. Vince Lombardi. I love Vince Lombardi. The measure of who we are is what we do with what we have. And Vince Lombardi, just a tremendous inspiration and coach, and really understands what winning and success is all about. Let's talk about let's bring on the top 3 producers and the successful, workshop leaders that they are. I'll introduce to you Gary Madeline, President of United Retirement Advisors Group out of Philadelphia, and ABC workshop instructor, and 34 years in the industry. And he's on the car phone headed home. And Gary, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's somebody who's got a lot of noise in the background all of a sudden.
Might have to disconnect him.
Yeah, we're going to have to go a different route, I think.
We're good there. Now we're okay.
Yeah, we're good. Excellent. Gary, how you doing? Thanks for being on with us.
I'm good, but that's back again.
You got it? There we go.
Okay.
Sounds good. Boy, it's interesting, when you do these live webinars, and we test this out for 5 or 10 minutes before we get on, and the 4 of us are laughing right now, not much, but because we didn't hear any of that noise when we did this before we actually started the actual webinar. So, Gary, thanks again for being on with us. 34 years in the industry. Love to love hearing your perspective on the workshops. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. It's a pleasure to be on, and I am honored that you asked me to be on. Thank you.
Well, thanks again for spending time with us. And then we have Randy Taxon, who works with Gary at United Retirement Advisors Group in Philadelphia, 15 years in the industry, and a workshop instructor. How you doing, Randy?
Doing great. Thanks, Dave, for asking.
Yeah, and I see your handsome husband in the picture there.
Yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't be happy if I had that on there.
Let's just not tell him. And then Don Avgerino, thanks so much, President of Spectrum Financial Group out of Philly, also 20 years in the industry. Don, thanks for being on with us.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for inviting me.
You betcha. Hey, what I'd like to do is let's before I get into the workshop questions, why don't I start, Don, with you and tell us a little bit about yourself, your practice, where you've come from in the industry and the business to get to where you are now. So give us a little background on you.
Well, my insurance agency started 20 years ago, and I've been a financial advisor ever since. We integrated investments, red money into our practice, and been doing that for many years. And last year, when I met you for the first time, we had a great time together down in Chicago.
Yeah.
And you showed me how to do the workshops, by the way, which are a great mentor. Thank you. And we started doing the workshops in September, and they've been working out great. They've been a great boost to our practice, and I really enjoy doing them.
Excellent, excellent. I know you've really enjoyed doing them. It's constantly, you emailing me and telling me about how things are going. I really appreciate that too. you're a great industry veteran, and what you bring to the table there in the workshops is invaluable. So I'm glad you're with us. Let me get to go up to Randy. Randy, tell us a little bit about your journey into the industry over these years, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice.
Started about 15 years ago with Gary Madeline, and it's come a long way since then. We had a mostly senior practice, and I started getting involved in the Medicare end of things, and all of the questions, and the conversion over to income planning was natural from the type of business that we had, and we've been doing this since also August of last year, and it's been great. I find that the clients who come into the office have a totally different attitude than we've ever experienced before.
Yeah, I hear a lot of advisors say that. It puts you in a totally different light than you've been in before as an advisor. True?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're enjoying ourselves and enjoying what's been going on, and hope to continue doing very well at it.
Yeah, I think that's what that is really the statement from people who've done this workshop. Advisors have done these workshops all over the country now for the last 3 years. Is that they really enjoy their practice again. Gary, tell me a little bit about yourself and your 34 years in the industry, and let us know who you are a little bit.
I have 33 years experience, started with the Equitable way back when. I saw the first, God, I think about it, I was around for the invention of the first variable annuity and variable life insurance product, and I think I was there when Moses parted the Red Sea. But this has been just absolutely amazing to me. We've done, over the last 10, 15 years, I've probably done 300-400 talks at senior centers, countless. I just wish I had the money that I had spent on meals for seminars over the years, and we actually stopped doing that because it was, getting very expensive, and we kind of accidentally tripped into your ABC program, as you're well aware. We kind of got connected, through something else, and this just happened to be there. And I just fell in love with it the second I saw it, because I've always been a firm believer in, if you teach people, it's a lot better than if you're trying to sell people. And this just fit in so perfect with what I do and my personality, being able to go in and teach. And I remember one of the other advisors who had been doing this a little longer than I have. He said, if you can walk away from these classes where the people believe they have to, they need your help, that they need you. There's no question about whether or not they're coming to you. They need you because you put them in a position where they need your knowledge. They need what you have, and nobody else has that. It's a great place to be, and it really is, because when they come in the office, they don't have a clue as to how they're going to make this transition. And that's the key, is the class actually shows them that what they've been doing may all be well and good and got them to where they are, but that can't be what takes them to the next level, that harvesting stage. What they've been doing isn't going to work. It's got to be something different, and therefore it's got to be a different advisor. It has to be someone who's trained differently, to think differently, and has different products and a different approach. And that's what's made it so wonderful. And as Randy said, that they walk in the door with such a different attitude. It's incredible. And as you said, it's put a lot of fun back into being in this business, because for a while it was not fun. It was definitely not fun.
Yeah, for those of us who've done seminars and hundreds of seminars over the years, it's one of those things that really is a breath of fresh air to be able to, and the three of you listen, you know this, just stand up in front of a class and teach and educate, and not try to sell, but really teach about what you're passionate about. And so I'm going to go over this a little bit, and so people that are listening kind of understand what we're talking about, and then I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to ask you questions and to kind of hone in on what you do. But what we're talking about is college workshops, and the first one, the Financial ABCs of Retirement Planning, is what Gary and Randy and Don have been using over this last year, and with great success. And you know, we talk about, you know, the dinner seminars are still good, you know, but they're just harder. You know, they're more expensive. 50 to 70%, you know, of those, you know, are kind of plate liquors, and mailing's more expensive. Compliance is, I don't even think stiffer is a word. Regulators are often in attendance, and people are, when you're doing seminars, you start looking for the regulator that, you know, that's coming in the room. And then studies show that 70% of boomers and seniors won't even go to a dinner seminar. So now all the people doing dinner seminars are after 30% of the market. And what this class does is get you in front of people who would never attend a dinner seminar. And they actually pay you. So what we're talking about just conceptually in these courses, it's an adult education format. So it's a continuing education, not, you know, on college campuses, not in terms of getting a degree, but just in terms of adult leisure learning. You know, they go to colleges, campuses to take classes on foreign travel or computers or things to enhance their life, and a lot of education, adult financial education, is done on college campuses. It's for 50 and uppers, and we're really targeting that 55 to 65. In fact, if we could nail 59 to 65 with enough names in your territory, that's what we do with the 100K of IPA. And we are territorial. So we set up territories, and it's important for you listening to know that, because people call in and say, get in your territory fast. In fact, the 3 here they're in the Philadelphia area, and so they locked into, you know, territories right away when we came through their territory a year ago, and into Philadelphia, and so you really want to, you know, get your territory, which is 10,000 names and a venue. Done on college campuses, libraries, park districts, other educational settings, mostly community colleges and colleges. There are some high schools that we've used, and some other, like, community centers that have been good, but mostly it's college campuses. 2 to 3 class format, meaning that it's on 3 Thursday nights in a row. We send out a mailer, and it offers 3 classes on Thursday nights, or 2 classes on Saturdays mornings, or it might be Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. So you'd sign up. I'm going to go to the next 3 Thursdays in a row for this class, or the next 3 Tuesdays in a row, or the next 2 Saturdays. So 2 to 3 class format, 6 to 9 hours of teaching. They pay a fee for the course of $49. The Social Security class that we've just finished is now $18. It's a one-night, 2-hour, 2 to 2.5 hour course, and on maximizing your Social Security. And then by the end of the session, they'll have developed an ABC plan and need help with implementation. And the advisor develops trust with prospects over 2 to 3 sessions. It's the one thing that you need. And these 3, you know, and maybe I'll ask you guys to chime in on this one just a little bit. Dawn, let me ask you, in doing the class, do clients come into your office trusting you a little more than if you'd just done a dinner seminar or any other marketing?
Well, my students in the class really appreciate that we do not sell anything in the class, and they've told us that many times. So when they walk into our office, first they're very happy to see us again, because we've established a relationship with these people, and they know that we're not trying to push anything on them. And we meet with the people, we sit down, talk about their goals, ask a lot of questions, and they tell us what they want, what they're trying to achieve, and we just help them get there.
Right. And you said it, you've developed that relationship over the 2 to 3 weeks that you've been with them. And Randy and Gary, you feel the same way?
Yeah, they just come in with an attitude of, can you help me? How can you help me? Where am I going? I just can't explain how much different it is. The broker, the Wall Street broker is no longer a part of the problem. And it really, if I can just elaborate on that a little bit, it's interesting because I recently had to go into, go toe-to-toe with a broker over this stuff because, after we put the plan in place, of course, the broker's telling them, this is all wrong and all this other kind of stuff. And even after 33 years, and I have a Series 7 and a 65, it's just, I have no time to be listening to a broker, and it's just such a different attitude you have with them. And I tell them, I got no time for this. You have no plan for these people. You're just giving them the same stuff you've been giving them, hoping that it works out. They don't want a plan that might work out. They want a plan that's going to work out, and you have nothing for them. You're throwing stuff at them that you threw at everything else. They have no time for this. They want the money moved. Are you going to move it now, or do we have to go to your supervisor and get it moved? I mean, just shut people down like the, they've been treating us like dogs for years. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
The tide has finally been turned the other way.
Yeah, and I think that's because the relationship that you've established over and the way people view you coming out of the class is so strong.
Yeah, they view you as the educator, the person who, knows this stuff, the professor, if you will, all of that. You can't buy that, or I guess you can, Dave,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Randy, you feel the
But
same
you're
way?
right, Gary. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, Gary's right. When the people come in, they respect you more than just some advisor, because they know that you've helped them to get educated in all the subjects that they're interested in. And so they come in with a smile on their face, and they just trust you. And that's the most beautiful thing about it, is the trust.
Yeah, I'll throw a little story in real quick, a short one. We had a client who came in. We moved, I don't know, $500,000, $600,000, something like that. And something, in the process of getting the broker to move the stuff, this broker was totally out of control. I mean, just lying to his client through his teeth. And we finally got this email that the client was not going to go with our plan. He was going back to the broker. And in the email, he wrote out what, why and all this other kind of stuff. And he said, but if you think it's important that I come into your office and go over this again, he said, I will do that. I mean, where did that ever come from before?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's important that you get back in here. And he was there the next day, and we now have that case in the books. But I was able to point out specifically what was all wrong with what the guy was telling him and all that stuff. But he's the one that put in there. If you think it's important that I should come in, let me know. I'll come in again. That's the kind of relationship you have with them.
Yeah, and I think too that people when they come in to see you, that they have understood maybe for the first time through the ABC process and the ABC model how much risk they have in their portfolio that they really didn't understand that they had, and what they could have and what they now want. Actually, it's kind of fun to see the light go on in people's eyes when they get it for the first time, how much risk they actually have in their portfolio through this class and through the model, and how much they really want. And they're after it, and they think that somebody's duped them for a long time.
The first time that they see that pie chart, the first pie chart that comes up, and it's that, wherever you got that red, I don't know where you got it, but it was beautiful. It like burns their cornea out, and boy, does it make an impression. They're like, nope, that is not where I want to be.
Yeah, yeah, and people really get it in the class. Go over a little bit of course results. We're really 90% plus in success in mailing, getting at least 10 units to the class, and we average between 15 to 20 households in the class, and we have 80 to 90% of attendees sign up for an hour strategy session with the advisor, which is really high, and it ranges from 50 to 100% generally, and but people often get 70 to 80 to 90% of the people that come in and for their strategy session, because it's really and we'll ask these guys just a second what they do to get them to come in, and they tend to keep the appointments. And the average person sitting in the class generally has about $500,000 to $1.5 million of assets. Are there people with lower numbers? Yeah, but typically somebody with $100,000 worth of assets doesn't pay you $49 to figure out how to invest it. These are people who have assets, they're motivated, and then you run into the the higher end, the $5 to $10 million class cases also in the class. Average FIA case, $300,000. About minimum premium out of a course about $1 million, and then $300,000 to $500,000 of assets under management. And this is different for different advisors. Like I know Don actually does more in red money, which is the assets under management, than green money. the FIA cases, and that's just his expertise and also just where the market is. So he's really listening to the people and seeing where they're going. We have a step-by-step agent guide, if you're wondering, that we will take you through. You receive this, and we can walk you through how to get set up. We teach you everything to do to get a college, to get the class going, and help you find a college and everything else. So the mailer, we mail out 10,000 of these in most cases. In some rural cases, 5,000. But a territory is typically 10,000 names with the 100K of IPA. We really do a selective draw on the names to get you the right people to the class. Is very important. And we don't use a real flashy mailer like a dinner seminar mailer, but we use what looks, as you see here, like a college, something a college would send out. And it actually has a tear off. Not a tear off. They have to cut this out and send it in, or they call, to register. We teach you how to do all of that. They actually bring these in with their check to the class sometimes, just walk in. But it's just something that a college would do. But let's talk about this just for a second. That gives you kind of the feel for what we're doing, and we can answer a lot more questions if you want to email us and request our white paper. We have a white paper on the college course that you can get your hands on. I'll give you my email address here in a few minutes, but it's dave@vickassociates.com. I'll put it on the screen here in just a second. But let's talk about how the workshop program has impacted your practice. We've probably discussed that a little bit as we started here, but how do you promote the workshops? Are you doing the mailers? Do you do anything else with clients, or asking them to come back for to bring friends, those kinds of things? Don, what are you doing? Are you doing the mailers?
Yeah.
And how are they working
out? They work out great because Brian takes care of everything. Brian from Step to Success. And it's really a turnkey process where I just trust him, and he does a great job on filling the seats in the class. And during my days of practice, if I am talking to a client who wants to learn a little bit more about what we do, or is kind of a key prospect for the class, I will just invite them. I'll just say, hey, we have a workshop going on, on this date. You're more than welcome to attend, and some do, and it works out great.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I really need to do, because the mailer works great.
The mailer does really work great. It really is a great piece created by Brian Steppen, and we'll get you Brian Steppen's contact information here too for you. Gary, how do you promote?
Most of it is done by the mailers, and you mentioned that sometimes you get big groups and sometimes you get smaller groups. I think as you get better at this, and if I were getting into this new today, my concern would be, am I going to get enough return off of this meeting? Am I going to get enough people into the class? And what I've learned is you don't want the class to be too big. Getting that 10 people, even anywhere from 5 or 6 to 10, 11, is what you want, because you get to bond with those people a lot over those 2 days or 3 days. Where if you have 25 or 30 in the classroom, you can't make that same connection with all of those people. So I'd rather have that, the middle number as opposed to the big number come in, and you get that confidence after a while after you see what happens. We make sure that people that there's always people that say, geez, I can't make it on those dates, and there's people that come to the first class, they never show up for the second class because something happened in between. You got to keep track of those people and get those people back in, always sending, when you do your next seminar, you're going to do your next college course, make sure that you email those people, email them and say, if you have any friends or anything, make sure here's our classes that we're going to have in the future. You're always welcome to come back a second time, which occasionally they will. So that's what we're doing to get them to come back in. But if you did nothing and sat totally on your hands and just let Brian, as Don said, let Brian do his thing and step to success. He's just amazing and really good at what he does, and just let him take care of it. And there'll just be people there when you get there.
It's really true. Guys tell me this often, that they really like they really like that 10 to 15 in the class. Although some guys, we really consider it a success rate over 10, but guys that get, and there are some, remember 10% of the time that get 5, 6, 7, 8 in a class, they really like it because of what Gary just said. It's the ability to bond with people and really get to know them a little bit more, and they ask more questions. And the class really is it's a discussion model class. So there's a ton of information. Don't get me wrong. There's enough information in the material to teach a 13-week college course. So we try to pare it down to 2 or 3 sessions. But people really do like the bonding with the instructor and the advisor, and it makes a difference. I had an instructor in Massachusetts email me after an 8-person class with he had $1.2 million of applications sitting on his desk from an 8-person class, and we had some people locally that had 3 people. It was a real bummer on the mailer for whatever reason. Their next class they had like 23. They had 3 people in this class for whatever reason, and it's one of the 10% that was our failure. But they wrote over $2 million between 2 people of green money and another $800,000 of red money with those 3 people. It was just incredible. So how do you, people probably want to know, there's a lot of material in the course. We have the book, Bat Sox Vegas, Conservative Investing, and then the Financial ABCs of Retirement Workshop book, and then all the slides. And there's 2 to 2.5 hours a night, of teaching and the discussions. How do you, you guys have done it now. You got to probably think back a little bit, with folks that are listening. How do you prepare for the course? Randy, how do you prepare for the course?
Well, you have to make it your own. Dave, you have yourself and another person or 2 on your website that you have some shots of them doing the course, so you take some of that into account. Plus, you got to figure out what the messages you want to get out to each chapter, and you got to put it in your own words. And I let people know from the beginning, I'm not reading every line. I could stand up here and read from the book, but that's not what you came here for. So don't expect I'm going to read every sentence on every slide, but we're going to talk about every subject as we go along, some a little more. We're going to talk some more about one subject than we are another, and the next time I teach the class, I might decide to talk on more, about one thing or the other. So it's not, they don't know if you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. They don't know if you go off talking about another tangent like Social Security or what sometimes the class participation brings about a totally different subject that's not part of that slide, but you talk about it.
Sure.
So they don't really know what you're doing, so you really don't need to worry about that. Dave, your book is so easy to read and understand, and it's funny, and it gives you such great insight that the teaching part is the fun part, and you make it yours, whatever that is. Yes.
Yeah, it's very important to make it yours, to take your own stories that you have, because you know me, I love telling stories, and to bring across concepts. And so instructors are really good at their best when they bring in their own stories. Gary, how do you prepare for a class?
This for me, it's kind of funny because this all becomes very natural for me. It was never a big deal. I read the book, and what I do is right before I start the class, I look at all of the slides that I'm going to be covering, and I look at each chapter. And what I try to do is know what the message is that's coming out of this chapter. There's one message. It's one sentence. What is it that I want to teach these people out of this, this one chapter? What's the message they need to get? And then I just kind of use the slides as a guide as to how to get to that message, but not forgetting what it is I'm trying to do in that 15-minute period or 20-minute period, whatever it is I'm going to stay on. Because there's basically about 14 messages in that, there's 14 chapters and there's 14 messages, and that's all you want to do is get them the message. Whether or not you hit all the slides, you ask all the questions, whatever it is, there's really only a couple of slides in there that have certain things on them that you really need to hit. So you got to remember, as Randy said, you're the teacher. They don't know what you don't know. They don't know what they missed. All you have to do is make sure that they get the basic messages and know that they need you to be able to accomplish what it is scaring them half to death at this point. And that's how I prepare for it. I really don't do a lot ahead of time other than go over the slides right before I start talking. And then at the break, I'll go over the slides I'm going to hit, for the next hour before the next break takes place, just to remind myself what it is, the messages I'm trying to say. And basically, it keeps me from getting ahead of myself. But as far as the preparation concerns, that's, other than the normal stuff of making sure I got enough books, it sounds stupid, but making sure I have enough workbooks, that I have enough books to give out, enough DVDs, and, always bring your own eraser and your own, stuff to write down. And I always bring name tags because I make people put their name tags on there. Number one, it's a control thing that you're taking control of the situation right when they walk in the door by making them write their name on the sticker and stick it on their chest. And the other part of it is I'm, getting old enough now that I'll never remember their names anyway if I don't have that. So,
True.
That's it. That's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, it's interesting. The information that you learn to go through the class and you go through the slides, but you really are. That's a great idea. Is to really think through each chapter in terms of one primary concept, because there is one concept in each chapter that you want to get across, and then it's just kind of the discussion, those kinds of things. So Don, what kind of things did you do initially to prepare? And also, I think that this class is about things that you already know as an advisor and you're already passionate about. And the guys that teach us kind of resonate with what's in the materials already, so it's kind of easy for them to tell the concepts and to work through the concepts. So Don, give us a little insight into your preparation.
Well, to add to what the other panelists said, I also like to add current events to the classroom setting and tying in the material to something that might have happened recently that I see in the newspaper or hear on the news. And the students kind of like that because they know that this material is fresh and they like to tie it into real world events. And it might be as easy as, handing out an article that was in the Wall Street Journal that week and just maybe reading a little bit of it and tying it into the concepts that we're trying to portray or try to explain, and it helps. And it might be something that someone might not really understand, what is a sequester, or, what happens when the Fed stops buying bonds. How does that affect you? How does that affect your portfolio? And the students really appreciate that. They know that you are on the ball with what's going on with current events. And knowing the material is another thing that Gary already talked about. And I guess the first thing you want to do if you're starting out fresh is read the books, get familiar with the information, contact Brian and get a territory, reserve a class at a local college. It's really easy to do. Know the slides, and just go with it. Practice a little bit in the beginning. You have these wonderful videos on how to present the material. So a new person starting out would have all the information they need and support to get going. And it's really easy. It really is.
Yeah, it seems like a daunting task when you look at it, staring at it at the beginning. You think, oh, it's a lot, but they really do provide a lot of training and even more support in the past. We're putting together for the Charlotte Training Academy the PowerPoints will have a training set of PowerPoints to them. So you can listen to me go through all the material that you want to teach in the class more than you'd ever want to teach in the class. As part of the training exercise too, to get ready for the class. But that current events thing you mentioned, Don, is really interesting because I had an advisor tell me that before the second class, a client had called him up and said, my advisor at the bank is telling me I should invest in this one asset, and what do you think I should do? And he says, well, bring the information to the class, and let's have the class. Let's discuss it in class. So they did, and ended up, after the class, the client becoming a client of the instructor and using their wisdom. So, are there some points in this class that you guys resonate with and you emphasize if you can think over the course of what you teach, there's probably 2 or 3 things, maybe even 1 or 2 things that you just emphasize tremendously. Maybe it's the just the concept of that whole, ABC model. It's the how the green money and red money work together, or maybe it's paradigm shifts in investing history, or whatever it is. What are some of the things that you do, Don? Let's start with you, that you might emphasize in the course. Is there 1 or 2 things that kind of stand out to you?
Well, most folks are not familiar with the green money, and when we emphasize that, the green money is tied to an index and you can never lose any money there, you retain your gains, and you can create income for life. I think that is the one thing that people really resonate towards, because it's something new, it's something different. And the way that the design of the ABC model makes it fit into their portfolio is the main concept of the class. And they really, their eyes open up when they see that, and they go, wow, a little bell goes off. And, most people are familiar with the yellow and red money. And then on the red side, we emphasize the risk, a fixed income asset. You can lose money there. So once they understand that and they figure out how the green and the red work together, and they're always working together, it's just an eye-opener. And that's what people really like to hear about, and it's new, and they go, wow, I get it.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. People just for the first time, they actually understand, really, because we do, the course really does talk about where index annuities fit in a portfolio of assets. And so it's, for some of them, they've heard such bad things about annuities, and for the first time they get to sit in a class with an instructor they trust that talks about, okay, what is this thing, and where does it fit in, and it's green money, and how does the green money work, protect your principal, protect your gains, protect your income, and then how does the red money work with it, and that. So yeah, it's the first time that people really understand that. Randy, what are some of the things, is there something that really stands out that you emphasize in the course?
Well, I think what he said was very important. The other thing is, when people are reaching retirement age, the fact that growing your money is different than taking money out, and that's a really important part, how we can't afford to take the risk with all of our money. Wall Street, we don't know how it's going to perform. That the M times are a very important part of where we are today. Can we trust the market? Is the market the same place as it used to be? Wall Street's not the same street as it used to be. That, in connection with where index equity annuities fit in a portfolio of assets, is a very important part of the course.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's very enlightening for people to figure out where they are in terms of retirement and restructure. And I think the course does a great job of pointing that out. Gary, what's something that's an emphasis for you?
I emphasize very heavily in the very, very beginning of the class that, you folks are in this class, you came for a reason. A lot of you probably aren't even sure what the reason is, and it's something that's bugging you. And what's bugging you is the fact that the baby boomers, no generation has ever had to retire the way this generation is retiring. So there's no book that's ever been written about this. There's no going back and looking at what happened in the past to see what went wrong and what went right. We're writing the book as it goes along. It's all brand new. And this really scary part is you only get one chance to do it right. If you blow it, it's totally blown. And the problem is coming in, as Randy mentioned, the M times, which the new people that are on the call wouldn't understand what that is, so they see the PowerPoint presentation, but it's basically how the market going up and down has changed. The last, up until 1990 or so, it's kind of been just a steady up. As long as you stayed in long enough, everything worked out, and you got your 7-8% return, and it all works. Now, all of a sudden, you have these huge gains, huge losses, huge gains, huge losses, and that's going to continue. That's not going to change. That's just the nature of the market. And you still may get the same return in the long run, but the problem is the sequence of the returns, how the returns are now coming in matter completely to when you're taking the money out, as opposed to when you're just accumulating the money. It doesn't matter how they come in. If you're just in there long enough, you're going to hit your number. But once you start taking the money out, it changes everything. And this is the big thing that Wall Street has totally struck out on, totally missed. Most advisors have missed. There's only a handful of us out there that get this whole idea that you can win the game statistically and at the end say, hey, you know, overall the market did like 8 or 9%, and you can still end up broke in 15 years and not have a retirement because of the way the sequence of returns came in. That's why it's so important to show them why it's not the market that's going to get you there. If you don't have any safe money and you don't have, you know, an amount of money that's going to cushion what's happened in the market, you're doomed for failure. It's going to happen unless you happen to be really, really lucky. I make that point right up front before I even start the class, and I just see a whole lot of heads shaking up and down going, you know, that's it. That's what's been bugging me, and that's what's missing. And from that point forward, you have them in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, great point. Absolutely great point. How do you see people responding to this course, Gary?
Most of them respond to it, obviously, very positively, but that doesn't mean that they just all of a sudden say, oh, okay, I get it, this is how it works now, so let's do this. There's still a tremendous element of fear involved because they're still doing something different, and people don't do different. They just don't like doing different. I don't care what it is. So there's still a big element of fear, and that's where that whole thing where they trust you because you're the teacher, and you have to take it, you know, now we're going to another part of this, Dave, you know, the process. You know, this is a 3, 4, maybe sometimes 5-visit issue before they get closed. But, I mean, when you're talking about closing cases that are on the small end, probably $300,000, and on the upper end, you know, 7 figures, you're getting them comfortable with making those changes. They get it, but it doesn't mean that they just, you know, they bought it, but they're not ready to sign on the dotted line, and you have to walk them through and have them say to you, yep, I get it, this is what I want, this is what's making me comfortable. And then what you see afterwards is, as you're going through the process of moving the assets over, you actually get emails from them that start saying things like, you know, I'm getting more comfortable with this. And it's like you say to yourself, wow, you know, they're still not totally comfortable. And they're not, because this is very, very scary. Like I said, they only get one chance to do this. They've been being told something else differently all along, and you're doing something different, but you have enough credibility on your side to get it done if you take your time. If you rush them and you try to push them and you're looking for a quick sale, it isn't going to work. You're actually going to push them away in the other direction.
Yeah. Hey, usually I have a lot of questions and everything else, but I want to ask you guys, because we have about 5-6 minutes left here, how do you work asking for the appointments in the classes? Gary, why don't you continue and
okay.
And how do you do
I am very, very aggressive with that. I tell them that I tell them what they paid for. This one, early on in the class, I say, look, this is what you paid for. You paid for the book, you paid for the workbook, you paid for the DVD, you paid for the class, you paid to have my time, my email address, all that stuff to use. But you've also paid for something, and this is the most important thing that you've paid for, is your personal strategy session. You get a one-time personal strategy session with me at my office, and that's really where this all comes in. You can take the whole course, do everything we do, but if you don't take advantage of the strategy session, you've missed 50% of what this course can do for you, because what it's going to do is take everything that you've learned, everything that you see, and use your numbers and your real-life situation, plug it in, and show you exactly how this thing works. And then you'll be able to leave my office and take it to any advice that you want. And instead of going in and saying, what should I do, you're walking in the door and saying, this is what I want done. You're taking control of the situation. Now, how can you get me from here to here? This is what I want. This is the plan, and this is how I want it to look. They never go anywhere else, because once they're in your office, you're the guy. But I tell them that the whole idea is for them to have a plan that they can walk out the door with the plan in hand after they do their personal strategy session, And what I do is I put my book right out on the table. I have it highlighted the times that I have available, over the next 6 to 8 weeks for them to do it. I tell them, look, even if you think you might be able to make it, but you're not sure, put your name in so you don't miss your chance to get it. You can always change it later. I put it out there then. I remind them at every break. I remind them at the end of the day. The next week they come in, I go through it all over again. Every chance I get, I talk to them about that personal strategy session. And at the very end, on the last hour or so, for those who haven't signed up for it, I go to them personally and sit in front of them during the break and go, you haven't signed up for this. What's, you having a problem with the time or whatever. So I'm very aggressive with that without being obnoxious. Because I keep it as a personal strategy session, and without that, what good is really the rest of the class? You want to be able to walk out the door, have a plan, so when you go back to your, I tell them, when you go back to your advisor, you're going to be in control, you're going to know what you want done, and you can lay it down, and it works. It's worked for me. Like I said, I think I probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of a 95 to 98% sign-up rate for people that sign up for appointments, and I'd say probably 85 to 90% of those become a reality. So I don't think you can fight with those numbers.
No, that's. I know you do well with that. Don, what do you do?
Well, I don't do it as good as Gary just explained it should be done, but there's not much I can add to that. I think that's a great way to do it, Gary. And what we do is we announce it at the beginning of the class, and the way we've been doing it is we just say, look, we don't talk about your personal issues here, but we do have the one-on-one strategy session, which is part of your tuition. You're entitled to it, and we recommend you signing up for it. And we have the sign-up book on the desk over there near where all the materials are, where they walk in and sign up or sign in for the class. And then, we talk about it once in a while. I guess I should talk about it more. But anytime someone brings up their own personal questions, we say, hey, let's talk about this during our strategy session. Sign up for it, and we'll discuss it then.
Yeah, and Dave, if I could just add in, if you constantly and consistently refer to it as your personal strategy session, and it's so you can walk out the door with your plan, it takes away that whole, there is no question about, oh, they just want me to come in because they want to sell me something. That thought doesn't exist in their head. And that's why you got to keep doing it and keep doing it consistently.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I think they have to have it in their mind that part of this whole course is that personal strategy session. It's like there's 3 classes in the classroom, and the 4th class is optional. Of course, each class is optional. You don't have to come each night. So the 4th class is your personal strategy session, where you can walk out of that strategy session with your personal plan as we've gone over in the pertaining to things we've gone over in the course. What's the process like for your appointments?
For my, Dave, I follow exactly how you have it laid out in there. The first one is just getting to get to know them, get a handle on the assets, see what they have, kind of figure out what their ideas are, what their thoughts are, husband and wife, how they both feel about you, all that stuff. And that usually takes about an hour, and I give them nothing as far as any idea about where they're at. If I see that it's an obvious situation that they're going to be okay once a plan is put in place, but, the last thing you say to them before they walk out the door is the thing you remember. I will throw a little look, just quickly looking at it. I think you guys are going to be great. You're going to have a great retirement as they're walking out the door and walking down the path from our office. If I don't see that, then I might not say anything. This is going to be great. We're going to put the plan together for you next week, and that's it. I don't give them any previews of what might happen or anything else. I show them how bad the red money is, show them where all the risk is, let them tell me that they realize there's too much risk and how they might want to change it and what numbers they may want to pick out. But then I tell them, okay, now I'm going to put some things together for you that we can actually sit down and start looking at this on a personal level for you. So when we'll start working on the plan that you're going to walk out the door to take to an advisor next week. I'm still pitching that whole thing that they're going to go to another advisor and do this thing. It's almost like a takeaway. At that point, it's you they want. I've had them say a couple times, well, we're not going to be going to another advisor. You can do this for us, right? And it's like, well, if I have to, I will. But, God, how much you want me to do for you? But, that's the thing. And it's not, and at best, if they get to the end of the plan and go, geez, this is really good, this is what I want to do, it's like, great. If it sounds good now, it should sound good a week from now. After you sit and think about it for a while. We're not doing anything today. You can beg me to do this. It isn't happening. I want you to go home. I want you to think about it because you're going to come up with other things that are going to, and sure enough, when they come back in that third time, there's other questions. They probably talk to somebody else. All of a sudden, there's more money than there was before. All kinds of things have changed. And you start making the adjustments, and usually it's a 3 to 4 to 5 appointment situation before you actually end up writing it. But it's not a stressful 3 or 4 or 5 situation. It makes, you have time because you have time between the appointments to work on these things. You're not rushed. You're not trying to push. You're not trying to close. So that's the process that I use, and I'm at this point in my career, I'm very, very happy with it. It's really stress-free.
Hey,
and by the way, Dave, let me just add in there that you told everybody that I'm from Philadelphia, which I am, and that's where our office is, which is the office that Randy is now taking over. But it's this program that has helped me move to Scottsdale. I'm opening up an office in Scottsdale, Arizona. We've had a home there for 6 years, and it's always been my goal to, retire there and move there. This has given me the confidence and allowed me to say, you know what, I can do this anywhere. Went there, met with the people from Scottsdale Community College, set the course up. It took about 3 days to take care of the whole damn thing. And boom, we have classes ready to go in September. And I'm, as you know, as soon as our little session's over in Philadelphia that you're having in a couple of weeks, Denise and I are in the car driving out to Arizona, and we're moving there permanently. We sold the house, sold furniture, sold everything. We're there, 100% commitment, and it's all based on this program. That's how strongly I feel about it.
Well, it's how well it's worked for you and worked for others across the country too. And so to wrap this up, tell me what the three of you, tell me what you would suggest someone do who's interested in the course. Let's start with Randy. Ladies first.
I didn't quite understand that question.
So someone looking to thinking about getting in doing college workshops, what would your advice be to them?
It's the best thing that's come along in a long time. If they don't try it, they're crazy, because it's awesome. And it's very well run. And you didn't pay me to say that or anything. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Thanks, Randy.
You're welcome.
That's what a lot of people say. Thanks. Don, how about you?
First thing I would do is register to attend the workshops that you're holding this summer in the nearest location, here in Philly or any of the other places. Go and learn the materials, talk to Brian, set up a territory, and then contact your community college to reserve a room and just get going with it. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Absolutely, just do it. And come to the training, and we'll talk about that in just a second, in Charlotte. That's where we train you how to do this, nuts and bolts, everything. What Gary and Randy and Don have been talking about, the nuts and bolts, everything. We'll teach you how to do in those 3 days. And plus, we give you online support, where you can go back and review. And Gary, so what would you suggest someone do who's interested in the course?
Well, obviously,
they
need to come to this thing. They need to come to your short little 2.5-hour thing, which I think if there's any question, they'll have it. But I mean, not to be a smart ass or anything like that. What they need to do is get their wallet out, get this thing going, not worry about it. A monkey can go in and do this thing and make their money back 2 or 3 times. I mean, if I only made my money back 2 or 3 times, it would be the biggest disaster ever in this course. I look at a very minimum of a 500% return on my money out of this thing as being a bad thing. 1,000% return is more what I'm looking for, to 2,000% return on the money that I'm paying to do this course. Just do it. It's the best thing that's ever happened in this business, and I've been in it for 33 years. So. That's it.
Wow, thanks. That's what people are saying, and I really appreciate you guys being on with us and talking, and maybe if you don't mind, if people have questions, I may refer them to you too. And then I'd love to have you back on too, and in the future to talk about some ideas that you're having, and new things that we're doing, especially with the income courses that comes out. Sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah.
I think Don and I and Randy will all be at the one in Philadelphia, and I know I'm going to be, and I know Randy's going to be at the one in Charlotte too. So they'll get to meet us, and Don will probably be there too, I would think, and everybody will get to meet us in person.
Thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate your time this morning.
No problem,
Thanks for
Dave.
inviting us.
Bye-bye.
Hey, for marketing and sales support, and you want to check this program out, email me at David Vick Associates, or just call the 800-888 number, 460-1115. Debbie Connor's our administrator, and she works through all the paperwork and getting you all the things needed to do to establish a program. And you can talk to Debbie at our 800 number 2 there, or email her at Debbie at Vick Associates. Come to one of the road shows next week, and then in Minneapolis. But you can register at vickassociates.com at the upcoming events and training. But get yourself to Charlotte. Register for Charlotte, August 14th to the 16th. This is where you're going to really learn a ton. And you can call us right away, but go to Vick Associates, register for those upcoming training events. Call us, call Debbie. You might want to call Brian Steppen, who really, these three have really referred to again and again on getting the workshops done, 727-258-8490. He's really going to find out the feasibility study of doing a workshop in your territory, in your area. He's the guy who will run the numbers for you, tell you how many names there are in your area, how many territories there are, and they will help you get started, find a college, and everything. So you can call Brian, and he'll get you going. So, right, what are you waiting for? You're still on the phone here with me? Call Brian. Get it going, get it started. If you want to call us for contracting, because we only do this workshop with guys promoted who are contracted with Vick and Associates. So you want to call our product marketer, Chad Blanton, lead marketer at 800-527-1155. He's part of FIG, Financial Independence Group. That's our power partner. They take care of all of our back room, all our contracting, all our applications, processes. One of the largest FMOs in the country, and that's the power behind Vick and Associates in terms of we need a great back room. So give Chad a call there at FIG for any contracting issues and those kinds of things that you want to handle. Give Brian a call right away here and his staff, and just tell him you were just on the webinar and you want to get started, and he'll start you, and his staff will start you down the path of getting the workshops going. And then next Monday, join us with Dan Hunt, President of Red Hawk Wealth Advisors, and we'll show you how to grow your practice by using managed money with Red Hawk Wealth Advisors. An incredible opportunity for you, in that arena in terms of red money and Red Hawk. And then visit our website, vickassociates.com. You can see all the training, all the places, all the locations, the hotels, the dates, everything else of what we're doing to get a part of us, to get a part of the training. Give us a call, 888-460-1115. The college workshops, like you heard from Don and Randy and Gary, are simply the best marketing event that's ever been done in the industry, period. I mean, I say that with great confidence. Dinner seminars have been wildly successful. This takes it to a whole other level. So you want to get on board, call us today. We'll really teach you how to do the workshops. We'll teach you the ABC planning process, the software, everything they've been talking about to make your practices a huge success. So love to hear from you. Thanks so much for being with us. We think you're all winners, and we're going to teach you how to win big. Have a great week.